Hello, good evening, welcome to another episode of Easy 8's Online Painting Club. My name's Danny, and I'm back in the shirt. Check that out, I feel well smart, well posh. Just in time for the heat wave to come back. I say the heat wave, it's just got warmer today than it has been recently, and it's nice to be sat here in my attic, not having to wear a hoodie in what would be absolutely incredible temperatures. So yeah, I've lost a little bit of weight, I've got the shirt back on again, I'm feeling my original self. I've got a little fan on underneath the desk just to help blow some cold air against my legs, and if that sound picks up on the microphone and it's really bothering you, do let me know. I can hear it. I listen to myself through this, but you listen to me through this, and I don't think that picks it up. But let me know, because I want to know if it's bothering your experience. I will suffer for you, and I will I will just get warm. I can see that Jeff is asking, did I buy a bigger shirt? Rude? No, I just stopped eating so many pies, is the answer to that. I just started watching what I eat and I started running again, and that's just a really nice thing to know that my health is, you know, the first thing in my mind. It's not the first thing in my mind, but you know what I mean. I just take care of myself. Anyway, got a bit sidetracked already. If you're new here and you don't know what this is all about, it's not a tutorial show or anything like that. There's loads of that stuff already out there. Go and check those people out. They're really wonderful. You should go and see them and get some tips and hints and learn how to do stuff from them. This is just a show where you can come along, make some friends over here in the live chat, whatever side of the screen it appears on for you. I realised recently that it changes no matter what. So like if you're on a phone, if you're on a computer, like the live chat changes location. So yeah, wherever the live chat is, you can make some friends over there with these guys, secure in the knowledge that there is someone else out there live painting models at the same time as you who may be struggling, who may be succeeding. You know, maybe you want to get some tips and hints from them, maybe you want to share a victory, or maybe you want to kind of, you know, air out frustration and get some ideas on how to move forward. That's what the show's all about. For me, it's about getting through my massive pile of grey shame, which I've actually done a really good effort over the last few months of not acquiring more, but just trying to work my way through it. I say not acquiring more, of course I did buy this Sherman M4 that I'm painting up recently so that I can donate it to Duncan's Band of Brothers, which is definitely something that you should go and check out. There's a link down there in the description. I've spoken about them over the last few weeks. Please go and check out Duncan's Band of Brothers for the D-Day celebration, the 80th commemoration coming up on June the 6th, and I will donate my tank to his cause. Wonderful charity. And some of you guys have joined in it as well. If you like what we do here, please do consider subscribing to the show. Every subscriber goes a really long way to making the community grow, and that's exactly what we want. I choked on my own tongue there, I'm so sorry. We want the community to grow. We want to bring more people into the fold so that they can enjoy the show, that they can, you know, talk amongst each other, make some friends, wherever those friends appear. I'm going to stop doing that now. And yeah, it makes me feel good about myself that I'm doing a show that everyone wants to do. So yeah, subscribe. It'll be great. In fact, if you could, give it a thumbs up, if you like the video. Even if you don't, you can give it a thumbs down if you want to. Leave a comment down there in the comment section, because everything affects the algorithm. All hail the algorithm. Yeah, that would be grand. Thanks very much. I would love a new subscriber. We're up to 185. Get on, that's so cool. That means 15 more subscribers and I'll let the cats in the studio. Genuinely not looking forward to that. Anyway, happy Friday, happy weekend. Do you know what? I'm just going to move straight on over to the workbench because I've got a lot of work to do, and I've been on holiday this week and I've been faffing. I've done a little bit of work, but not as much as I should have done, and I just kind of want to crack on to it. That's what I'm going to do. Before we do go any further though, if you are working on a project this evening, be it for Duncan's Band of Brothers donations, whether it be for your own thing, whatever a hobby is, even if it's not hobby painting, I don't really mind. Come along for the company. Let us know what it is that you're working on this evening. If you want to take photos, stick them up on Facebook, because we're not just here on YouTube, we're on Facebook, Instagram and Discord, and you can join me on the Discord Easy 8 After Party after the show for a live video if you want to catch up. That would be great. Anyway, here we go. Just going to take you over to the workbench now. Let's go. It's warm. It's really warm. It's good to have a summer back. I mean, it's not even summer yet, but it's nice to have one. It's 21.5 degrees in the lower levels of this house. Up here it's quite hot because, well, there's an attic just above my head and the sun beats on it all day, and I've had the computer on all day because I've been playing video games. Because I'm on holiday, man, and you can't stop me. What am I, who cares? Who have we got in the live chat? Let's have a little chat check. We've got Adrian. Hi, Adrian. We've got my dad, Jeff. Hi, Dad. We've got Kez, and we've got Mark Rogers, who I believe was new to the show last week, or maybe the week before. Welcome back to the show. It's always nice to see new viewers in the show. Bring more. I'd love to have more people. It'd be wonderful. But welcome back, and I hope you find something valuable and entertaining useful. You know, that would be ideal, right? Welcome to the show. Yeah, I feel like I'm going to go through a lot of water today. It's quite warm. So Jeff says, yeah, but you're going to a show tomorrow. Lots of new things to buy. Yes, we are. I say we, the Easy 8 crew, and anybody else who wants to join us, we're all going on a mini road trip tomorrow down to Exeter for the model show that's going on down there called Legionary. We go there every year. It's one of our localist shows. It's probably the smallest show that we go to, but it's by far probably the most charming show, and we've made lots of friends and contacts, etc., people over the last few years. And we're going to support Grant at Overlord Games, who has supplied me with my little M4 Sherman, and lots of other hobbying products, be it tools, be it paints, be it models and books, you name it. It's got an online store, there's a link downstairs, go check it out. And it's his first trader event tomorrow, and I'm not going to leave anyone standing. Brothers help each other out. So that's what I'm going to go and do. Going to go and support Grant and buy myself a book because I want to learn how to play Achtung Panzer. Anyway, after last week's show, at the end of it rather, I started painting the tracks on my M4 Sherman, and I really struggled because I had to get in and around all the wheels and paint on the inside, and it was a nightmare. And I did something that felt a little against the grain, so I broke my model deliberately. I pulled the tracks apart after having glued them all in place and airbrushing them. It was too much of a faff trying to get in and around all the bogies and the wheels where they were contacting the tracks. So I thought, well, okay, it's on the top, isn't it? I thought, yikes to it. I'm just gonna take them off. So I did, and what would have been several hours of trying to get a detailed brush in and around all the bogies to paint them took me seconds with an airbrush, and that felt good. So what I'm going to do today, really my main focus, is to get the tracks finished. I'm going to paint the tyres on the road wheels here, and that's not going to... everything I'm going to do today is probably going to be the hardest bit, I reckon. It's just in terms of time, making sure that I get a nice, easy layer, coat on there. That's going to be the tricky bit, just making sure that it goes in the right way. I don't want it, if you have a look at these wheels, is it going to come into focus? I don't want it to be on the front faces of them, because actually those are metal rims. The model, being a 28mm model, doesn't necessarily show off the detail. The tyres would have been just on the top, showing this face of them as green, or whatever colour the metal was painted, and then the rubber on top, the rubber would have stood up a little bit. So I'm going to paint the outside edges of them black, but not true black. Oh no, Corvus black. It is the best rubber black in the world, as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, just got to get that painted. Once they're done, that and the little rollers, return rollers up at the top, that's great. Essentially, these bits are all done, apart from shading. I'm going to do some rust effects on these and then dry brush them with some silver. Now, if it was a 1/35th model, I'd go along every track individually, find each of the patterns that would contact the road, and I would dry brush them silver. So I dry brush them, I detail them silver. I'm just going to do a light dry brushing so it just kind of stands out a little bit. It's a 28mm model. It doesn't require the amount of attention that a 1/35th build would have. So that's basically what I'm going to do today. Kind of exciting, really, to be kind of moving on. First things first, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to crack on with this bit here. This is the bit that I just have a feeling could take a while. So I'm just going to give this paint a bit of a shake. Corvus black, it really is a really, really good colour for doing tyres and things. Jan's joined us, or Yana rather. Yana? Yes, Yana. Hi Yana, evening everybody. Nice to see you again. It's been a little while since I last saw your name. Or did you come in at the end of last week's show? I feel that you came in at the end of last week's show. Do you know what? I owe a professional apology for everybody last week. I clearly wasn't on top form. I had some lovely comments coming in the comment section at the end saying like, hey man, it's a good show. I appreciate that. Some weeks I'm really, really tired. Other weeks, not so. Sometimes I'm stressed, sometimes I'm not. And I really do fret on trying to create a good performance in some ways for you guys to see. And when I'm not performing at my best, I do take it personally. So apologies for last week's show. It just felt like I couldn't talk. And everyone was telling me, no, it's fine, man. Thanks very much for the kindness. But, I've got a job to do. And that job is being good. So there you go. Apology out there. Right. Let me just get my palette in on the side here, I'm just going to scoop out a dollop of Corvus Black. Stick it in there. I might get a second one. And I'm just going to get a little bit of water, just a drop. I'm going to try and water it down. Just to thin it a little bit. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay. I'm not going to use that brush because that is quite a big brush. That's not what I want for this. What I want probably is my number 0. I'm going to wet the bristles and I just quickly dab it off in a bit of tissue. Having a little bit of moisture in the bristles really helps make helps the paint transfer from bristle to miniature. And now what I'm going to do is just start painting the wheels. I mean, there's nothing fancy to it. I don't have to go all the way around because you can see there's bits here where there's going to be contacting the tracks, and I want to have some bare plastic showing so that I can actually glue it together. Now you can see, like, the way that these models are made, the wheels are thinner. They actually, the plastic goes all the way back to the back wall in here, and that wouldn't necessarily be wheels, so I'm stuck. I don't know whether to paint that grey or leave it green. I think I'm just going to leave it green. I've adjusted my light a little bit and it's actually being quite difficult to see. That's a little bit better. I've got a bit of a shaky hand. That's interesting. Why is my hand so shaky? Anyway, do you know what? Having a holiday was really, really needed. I haven't done anything. I've just been at home the entire time. Barely stepped outside. All but for a haircut. Thank you for noticing. And a little bit of shopping here and there. Just to spend some time disconnecting from work for a little bit. Okay, that's one wheel done. Happy with that. Now it's going to have tracks around it. You won't be able to see so much in there. But I want to try and do as nice a job as possible. Don't want to rush it. Now, for those of you that saw the schedule for today on Facebook, or even on YouTube, because that's where I do the show, you'll see that I started off with what probably sounded like quite an insightful little message. But basically, after last week's show, and it's happened to me a couple of times now, I make a plan on what I'm going to do for the evening, on how I'm going to, paint, basically. What I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it. And I've noticed that recently, I've not got anywhere near doing what it is that I plan to do. And I think that this is something that I need to heed. Miniature painting or hobby painting, or any hobby I suppose really, especially for me, never really goes according to plan. There can be things that, that will happen or come up, or you realise that you need to do X, Y, Z before you get there. And I'm not like a professional where I've got a specific recipe or system or process that I go through. I just go, oh, this looks like it could be doing with being done. Is that even a sentence? You know what I mean. So I make all these plans on what it is that I'm going to do. And it looks like I haven't got a clue. I'd be absolutely right, I suppose. I don't have a clue. So tonight, I just said on the listing, I'm just gonna move forwards. I'm just gonna do the thing that I need to do. Now as I'm handling this, I notice that there's some bits of greenness coming off on some of the outside, some of the corners. That's a little bit frustrating. I spat on my finger. I'm so sorry about that. That's disgusting. I'm going to try and handle it a little less. I don't want any paint to come off. The problem with airbrushing is that the layers go on so thin, which makes it look really nice, but it's so easy to disturb them. I'm going to have to go through and just touch those up a little bit, aren't I? Have a little look at the comments that are going in. Kez is saying can't hear the fan. That's brilliant. Cool. Idris says true. Since finding this out, Corvus Black is the only black I use for tyres, whether it's for my 50mm Panzers or my 40k tanks. Yeah, it's just a godsend, isn't it? I absolutely love the colour. If you found that out here on Easy 8, I'm glad to help. If not, it's just good for you. It's a good old colour. Back in there, in the historical times of World War II and around that time, and before, as far as I understand it, rubber wasn't black. It was very, very dark grey. Nowadays, you could probably do all sorts. With our tyre colours. Maybe like modern methods of making rubber, or just the way it is produced nowadays. Perhaps it's just different, I don't know. But back then, yeah, as far as I'm aware, rubber wasn't black. And if you paint a model with black tyres, it looks awful. That's probably a poor thing to say. I don't mean it looks awful, I just mean it has too much contrast and it really stands out. And every time I've done it, I've not been happy with it. So I finished the rust I started last week, says Adrian. I am now working on 2 Cadian command squads. Is that Cadian or Chadian? What's Chadian? I feel that you're doing some wordplay here, and I wonder where you're going with this. What is Chadian? You're smug with yourself, aren't you? You've made that up, and I don't know what it is. Please reveal to us all what Chadian is. Yana says, I just got a little bit of free time and I started to build my Dominus Knight and Mastodon tank. I love a Mastodon tank. It's huge. Trust Warhammer 40,000 and the Horus Heresy Warhammer 30,000, I suppose, to take the mini out of miniature painting. It's a hell of a tank. I love it. I'd love to see photos. If you're on Facebook, feel free to stick them up on Facebook. If you want to do it on Discord, we'll also put them up there too. Show off your work to the world and be proud. Okay, we're going through this faster than I thought we would do, which is great. To have access in and around the tracks has made it so much easier, and the reason I put the tracks on in the first place was just saving time with the amount of sub-assemblies that I had. Obviously I had the hull, the turret, and then I had the 2 sets of bogies with tracks mounted on the side. I just wanted to be able to glue it together, be done. But it was really counterproductive. It was really, really difficult. It would have taken me so much longer to do. I'm fairly confident I'll have all of the tracks and wheels and everything done today. Probably even before the end of the show, and that's very exciting because I very rarely get anything done finished ever, let alone on the show. Jeff says, shaky hands, you need to buy a new WAS, mate. Yes. Or do I? I mean, maybe I could just repurpose my hand as the WASmatic and shake my own paints up. Just, yeah, got a bit of a tremble on today. A bit weird, isn't it? Last road wheel for this side of the tracks. Got to do the return rollers on them. The return rollers are literally just something that sits at the top, somewhere for the tracks to kind of, because there'd be so much weight on them that as the tank is moving along, they just would drag across the tops of all of the bogey systems and just wear them out and just generally be bad. So these are big rubber rollers here that just keep the weight of the tracks and just pass them along the top basically. They were made of rubber. Sherman. Anyway, probably on every other tank as well, I don't know. Haven't really looked into it that much. But on most tanks for sure they were rubber. So a little bit tricky to get into this one here. Just under that front drive sprocket. Ooh, a touch trickier. How to get in there? Do you know what? I think I should wait for a minute and let the rest of that dry because I think I need to handle it. Okay, wash my brush out. That would be autocorrect. There was me thinking you weren't ready for some sort of really big comical sort of new term. Nope. Soz mate. Shadian. That's quite fun. Maybe we've invented something there. Just gonna put on some t-shirts. Making our own IP. Shadian Shock Troopers. Shadian stands. Or six maybe. I was able to do the front wheel there easier on this side because, well, I'm right-handed, so obviously the brush is on this side. I might have a go at trying to do it left-handed. What's the worst that can happen? What is the worst that can happen? I feel like I need to give it a go now. God, do you know what? I really do have a very, very shaky hand today. My left hand specifically. Too much video gaming lately, that's what it is. Probably my instincts and my reflexes are right up and twitchy for playing high reactive games. Helldivers 2 for anybody who's interested. You can come and join me and my bunch of merry old friends on Discord if you want to come and watch us play some Helldivers 2, or you want to join in. We've got a slot free. We're just a bunch of middle-aged British people, often getting drunk and just shooting aliens. Having a right old giggle at the same time. While I've been on holiday, it's really all I've been doing. And I'm not ashamed of that, I literally needed some time off to to do nothing. Jeff says, didn't fancy doing any of the 6 builds I'm doing at the moment, so I started a samurai house. Oh, that's nice. Is that for a customer, or is that something that you're just doing yourself for the fun of it? I should imagine with the amount of work that you've got on, it's probably not just something for the fun of it. Exciting, isn't it? Samurai house. Undercrofts, overhangs, whatever you want to call them, with my right hand on this model, or the side of the model. I do not know I need to do those. I need to wash my brush out. And if your paint starts to become a little bit gacky, stop, wash your brush out. Stafford says, I made it! Hi Staff, welcome to coming along. Welcome back, thanks for coming along, nice to see you again. Welcome to coming along. I apologise for last week. I feel that maybe I should apologise for this week too. Soz. Low blood sugar, a glass of Coke. Yeah, maybe. I've got some water at the moment. Staff says, Danny, I can hardly hear you. Interesting. I think everybody else can hear me quite well. Do let me know if the audio is down. Yes, I have been repositioning some things around the desk, but the microphone is positioned exactly where it is. Always has been. And yeah, I'd be very interested to know if you're struggling to hear me. It might be your setup, but I'm not saying it couldn't be mine. Scoff 5 jelly babies. If I had jelly babies, I wouldn't eat them because they're full of gelatine, and I'm a vegetarian. But thanks for the advice. For beer in the second half of the show. You'll be coming through loud and clear, says Adrian. Oh, lovely, cool. It would be great if other people could confirm or deny that. It would always be good to know. One person can hear me loud doesn't mean that everybody else can. It just might be that their volume's up really high. It must be me, says Staff. Weird song, that, isn't it? Adrian says, what's the worst that can happen? Isn't that what the Japanese said just before December the 7th? I don't know, but yeah. Imagine if you did say that. Then. Staff says, I'm getting old. Yeah, aren't we all, mate? But always remember, you're older than me. Now, if this was a larger scale build, like I did with my 135th Panther and what I've done with my Stuart tank, is I would paint all the wheels individually before putting them on, because it's so much easier to do that, basically. You don't have to hold it at weird angles and try and get into any of these weird little recesses. Just take them for what they are. And on a Panther there's so many wheels. I think it's like 32 interweaving leaf wheels. Oh, it was a sad day. Quite tricky just trying to get into that last little bit there. So what I don't want to do is get it on the top of the suspension arm there, which is this little thing, basically that will just move up and down as it goes over bumpy bits. Do you know what that'll do? No one's going to check, are they? It's going to be fine. Duncan, please don't check. You heard me. Almost out of paint. Do you know what? Take a moment to refocus my eyes a little bit. not saying a word as Jeff. Oldest one at the live chat, by any chance? Yeah. Staff spectators offer free hearing tests. That feels a little weird that an optician would be doing that, but you know, mate, they're doing free hearing tests. Go check them out. Sounds good, my end, says Kez. Brilliant, good to know. Thank you very much. In that case, it is just Stafford getting old. And I think the rest of us are just okay with that. Sorry, mate. I don't mean it. We're not ageist here. Of course we're not. Adding a little bit more water to the paint. Just want it to have a nice sort of, you know, single cream consistency. Not like milk, like should go through an airbrush. You don't want it that thin. Harder to control, probably won't coat so well. I think like sort of a single cream consistency for brushes. I'm also very aware of how I've just pronounced milk. Like when I say milk, it's a weird word, milk. Yep. Glad that's on the internet for us all to listen to. Every week there's something, isn't there? Every week. I'm getting a tiny amount on the front surfaces of these wheel rims, and where I can I just use my finger just to sort of take that away. If there is like a little bit of mess later, what I'll do is I'll just get a very, very fine detail brush, and I'll just go over with a tiny bit of airbrush cleaner. And I don't want to agitate it too much, but because the paint is really quite fresh, it should just a very, very gentle wipe with that liquid, it should just come away completely. So a nice little sort of cheat mode, really. Just a little on the thin side there. Got a bit with a bit too much water in it. It's in a place where you won't even notice, so that's fine. I'm going to come back to that bit as well, like I did on the front. Now I don't have to paint anything on the rear wheel, that's just a loose, didn't do anything, it was just a roller, but it was made in metal, there was no rubber on those at all, so that's nice. Now, can I get in here? I don't want to do it left-handed, don't want to do it left-handed, don't make me, thank you very much. Can I get in here? Yes. Don't want to get it on that front sprocket. That went rather well. Last little bit in there. I'll just drop it, shall I? Yeah, why not? Told you this is the bit that will take the longest. I wasn't kidding. I think that's probably all I need to do there. Happy with that, excellent, let's leave it alone. Back to this piece over here. Same problem here really. It's not exaggerated. Haven't checked to see if I'm actually in shot. I am in shot, that's great, good to know. Come on, shaky hand. Go away now. Yeah, again, Adrian. Pardon. You guys are so funny. I do like all the little emojis that come up on YouTube. They're quite unique to YouTube, and I like them. They're funny. Oh, I got it on the suspension arm. What a wally. Right, wash the brush out. Excuse me. I think that's all I need to really worry myself about there. Okay, cool. Now, there's a part of me that wants to like leave them, come back to do the return rollers later. I'm not going to do that, otherwise I will lose my momentum. So I'm going to get straight on the return rollers now. Now the return rollers, they aren't as thin as the wheels, the road wheels, where you can see the metal rims looking at this profile, but on top you can see the rubber. They're actually just big chunks of rubber, so I'm going to paint right up to the housing on there. Now you can see there's a lot of grey plastic on the top there where the tracks were resting. So I'm just going to do a little bit here, leaving enough space for the glue to take effect. Because with poly cement you need bare plastic really, best effects for it to glue to, because poly cement melts the plastic surfaces together, and because we're using acrylic paints here, it'll only melt the acrylic paint and make a mess of the paint job and not actually do a very good job of adhering the two plastic pieces. That being said, if you use enough poly cement, you'll just go right through, but you'll make a mess and it will be noticeable. So don't do it. On the subject of poly cement, I've also, now that I've finished my very, very ancient tube of poly cement, I'm trying to take a departure from using glue in a tube. It's just not very good. It's great for starting out if you don't know what to do or how to do it, or you just kind of want to get quick, easy access into modelling. But from a bottle where it's very, very liquid is by far the superior choice. This is extra thin. You can go even more thinner than this, and the idea with that is that you put your two pieces together, especially like if you've got an aeroplane or ship fuselage or something like that, a hull fuselage for an airplane. Put the two pieces together, dry, and then where they join long, you just run a bead of it all the way along, and it runs into the gap like microscopically, for lack of a better term, and then it just dries. That's way superior than having a big old thick blob that when you smush them together seeps out all over the place and ruins your plastic. Gives you textures and things like that. So yes, I think my glue will do that, but there are thinner ones to be even better at it, and I think that is a much better way of modelling. In a world where I'm always trying to improve. I actually thought these return rollers were going to be harder to paint, and actually quite simple, which is nice to know. Tiny brush out. It's because I said it was easier than I thought it was, isn't it? That's now that I've said that, paint job's just a little bit harder in my head. What I'm trying to do is not get it against the whole wall at the back there. I don't want there to be like a line of dark grey on it. Because I pushed the paintbrush up too close to the edge. There we go, that's okay. Just 3 on each side, so this is the last one for this side here. Got it on the suspension arms again. The age fight in the live chat continues, I see. Tiny bit of debris. There we go. Just have to get that away before I painted it in. A little bit of dust or something just kind of got in there quite noticeably. There's also a tiny little fairy hair thing in there. Fairy hair thing. So you'll notice that I'm painting quite close together. I say together, like from side to side here, leaving only a tiny little dot for glue to go in. It doesn't have to be a very large area. It doesn't have to be incredibly durable. But it'll be more effective than you think. Having a tiny amount in there. Like I'll suddenly just snap the tracks off just by picking it up. More on that later. Yes, there is a funny story in there. Right, return rollers just on one more side. I'm going to wash my brush out again. Kez, your camo, was it just brown and green blobbed on with a stipple brush? More on that later. That's sip of water, I think. Look, we're almost at the break time, and I'm almost finished one half of the project that I want to do tonight. This is like kind of working out really well, right? Shh, don't tell anybody. Just a tiny bit more paint, just to finish off these return rollers. I'm hoping I don't have to come in and do a second layer on them. I really don't want that to be the case. I know we should do 2 thin layers, but in an area where you're not going to be able to see an awful lot, I don't really care for it. And I am in a rush to get this done. There is a time limit on me, and I'm absolutely rubbish with deadlines. So I'm just trying to save some time, basically. Kev says it was a reddish brown and green. It used a small round dry brush. Good luck. Good luck to you. You'll be fine. Experiment, have fun, have permission to get things wrong. Try out a piece of plasticard. If you haven't got any plasticard, get a breakfast cereal box. Just cut it up into manageable squares or strips. Give it a prime. And then that will be a close enough resemblance for you to practice some techniques like that on. But if, like me, you're worried about the deadline, just go for it. Two more return rollers to go. My eyes have gone funny. Okay, one more to go. Got a tiny amount of paint left in the palette. I don't want to get any more out for it, so I'm just going to add a little bit of moisture just to help loosen up what's already in there. Should be open up here. So quite a drop of water on the barrel of my paint there. That was to run into my paint as I'm painting, change the quality of that paint and the behaviour of it. It will end up ruining the job. See some little areas that might need little touch-ups, but at least it won't be a whole, second coat. It should just be a quick wipe with a bit of paint, and that makes me feel quite happy inside. I think I'm done. I'm done. I did a thing. Oh my goodness. That's really quite exciting. Anyway, we'll probably just take a quick stop right there. I am now starting to have trouble hearing you when you are below the microphone. Yes, that is because I'm getting quite down over here. And well, the microphone can only be in so many places. If I was like just a standard content streamer where I would just talk at the screen and then have things that come up on the screen, then I'd have it right here positioned the whole time, but it would be in my way as a painter. If I move it over here, it's right in the way of the camera, and well, it doesn't matter which side I do things, it will always have to be somewhere. If I have it positioned right here, when I use the airbrush, all you hear is pure wind. It's very difficult to get that balance right. I am actually in the middle of kind of reorganizing and the layout on how everything kind of works here. Just to the side here, I've got a little boom arm that's just coming off the side, where eventually I'm going to give it like a little test to see what it's like having the microphone here, sort of at this angle, hopefully talking this way here will be as much sound loss as it is talking here. So yeah, there's lots to figure out. It's a science, and I don't know it very well. So yeah. Anyway, sorry if you were struggling to hear me. Anyway, I finished that little project with all the rubber tire bits on there. What I've got to do now is get these looking rusty and weathered, and that's going to be quite simple and fun. And then hopefully, at least by, not necessarily by the end of the show, but by the end of tonight, so carry on watching on Discord if you are interested, I'm going to have all those track pieces put together, stuck on the bogies, and hopefully actually stuck on the tank hull itself. So the only reason that these track sections, these bogie units, are separate from the hull is so that I could do the actual track pieces themselves. They will be mounted in here, and then the whole thing will be in one big piece, obviously separate from the turret because that needs to move. Yeah. Staff says it's not just me. Yeah. Sorry, I was over here. You can't hear me talking over here. It's a cheap microphone. What can I say? There's some very expensive ones out there. Anyway, that's enough for the moment. I'm messing around with my options. I've repositioned my buttons. They're over here now. I don't know what it is I'm doing, so I'm just going to use the mouse. There we go. I'll be back in 10. Go change your paint water. See you in a second. Bye-bye. Hello and welcome back. Hope you had a nice little break. I just wanted to show you guys something that a particular viewer in the live chat has donated to the show, to me and the show, and me and my painting or whatever, and I'm ever so grateful for it. Is I got a hairdryer from a fan of the show to help me like speed up drying things, and I was always pinching my partner's hairdryer, and I'd leave it up here, and she'd be like, "Where's my hairdryer?" And I'd be like, "I don't know, maybe you should have a look around for it," and then I have to go and sneak it back into where it belonged. Thanks, Stafford, for buying me a hairdryer. Not only is it any old hairdryer, it's an Easy 8 hairdryer, and that's pretty sick. Thanks so much. It was really warm in the studio today, and I don't think I really need to use it for anything today, but it is really handy to have. It should be like a part of everyone's painting setup, is to have a little hairdryer where you paint things and you're like, "Oh, I've got to wait 5 minutes for that to dry." That's the noise a hairdryer makes. It's just, do you know what? It's really thoughtful and it's really kind. Thank you very much. And you actually went and made Easy 8 stickers. That's really cool. Thank you so much. That's brilliant. Just wanted to put that out there. That's great. That's what I love about this community. Everyone comes together and buys me stuff. I mean, does really nice things for everybody. Thanks, mate. I really appreciate it. Cool. Welcome back. If you're new here, please do consider subscribing to the show. Every subscriber goes a really long way to making the community that much bigger, that much better. It's brighter with you guys in it, and I do it for you guys. So yeah, share the word of EC8, get it known out there, bring more people into the team. Staff say it's the Dryamatic. It is. Yeah, it is the Dryamatic. Every time I use it now, I should get Dryamatic to come up on the screen. Just to let you know, I haven't had any problems this evening. Touch wood, I won't. But if I do, just want to give you a heads up that my headset is failing lately. It shouldn't give you any problems this evening. This microphone might die. It means I can't hear myself and I can't hear my own audio cues, which is a bit weird. I need to shut out the world around me to be able to kind of run it properly. These are noise cancelling. 5.1 surround, I think. They're really, really good, but they were dropped years and years ago, and I think they're on their way out, and every now and again I get a little beep sound in there, which means they're going to run out of battery, and no amount of charging them makes them work again. You hear me and everything else through here, so that's alright, but if I start like acting a little bit weird, it's because I'm going like, I can't hear my own audio cues. Just be aware of that. I've actually got a new pair of these arriving in the mail tomorrow. Thanks, Amazon Prime. They're not cheap, but yeah, you know, I use them for everything when I'm doing stuff on the computer, playing video games and talking to you guys. So it's good to have some. Anyway, let's get back to doing what it is that we're doing. We're going to be painting some things over here, so I'm just going to take you straight back over to the workbench. Here we go. Now, I've been painting the tracks. Before I get back into painting what it is that I'm doing, I wanted to show you this tank. This was painted by Kez, who is in the live chat right now, and this is donated to Duncan and his band of brothers. This is a Panzer IV. This is Kez's first time painting historical vehicles, because normally it's, you know, sci-fi, etc, etc. This is a really, really wonderful job. Kez lives fairly local to me, so I was able to bring it around for me to look at and critique with and celebrate, and that was really cool. But also it means that when I send mine off to Duncan, just save the environment a little bit by having less in the post, right? You know, less parcels, etc. So yeah, of course I'll do that. This is exactly the technique that Kez was talking about with Stafford in the live chat just a minute ago. Oh, again, I choked on my own tongue. How to deal with the kind of blotchy sort of style late war camouflage that the Germans used. This is all painted with Army Painter colours, and I think it's a really, really nice job, especially for your first go. I applaud you, well done. This is an effect that I haven't attempted before, and I think this is really, really nice. When you compare this to the size of the Sherman, they are a really nice set of tanks. This one's obviously got all what they call the Scherzen, or bazooka plates, basically. Skirts that went all around the turret and around the outside of the hull. Basically, bazookas or, you know, anti-tank rocket-propelled grenades would, you know, fly in from wherever. They would penetrate the hull on these sorts of tanks and their equivalents. But if you put a thickish piece of steel plating just spaced out a little bit from the rest of the tank, it will penetrate the armor, but all the energy goes into penetrating that piece of armor and doesn't actually damage the tank. The crew inside might be a bit rattled and shaken, but otherwise they would be okay, and so would the tank, more importantly. So that was a later war addition, and I think that the tank looks really quite mean and bulky with it on. Just a little Panzer IV. Love it. Brilliant. Really, really nice job. Well done. Congratulations on painting your first vehicle for World War II stuff. Now, earlier on I was saying about hopefully I won't be so rough with my tank that I actually knock pieces of the track off. When Kez brought this around, was talking to me about an area that I'm not going to highlight on the show, because I don't think if your eye is not drawn to it, you won't ever see it. But there was a problem with one of the side skirts. It wasn't glued on properly or in line enough, and it was very difficult to get it lined up. So I tried to squeeze it gently, try to tease it back into place, and as soon as I put any effort into it, I just took the whole skirt off, and I was like, yeah, well done me. Kez laughed at me, and then I supplied some super glue for which to repair it. And we moved on with our lives, and I did not try that again. So sorry for that, but clearly you managed to get it back to its former glory. My apologies. Just nice effort. Also, the unique number on the side there is something that Kez said is a number that means something to her, so that if this was to appear in amidst a load of other Panzers on Duncan's tabletop, Kez would be able to identify it immediately. 167 apparently is an important number. Not going to call it out here. That's for Kez to mention if she so wishes. Anyway, I will keep that beside all my stuff over here, and I will hopefully not break it or forget to send it off when I send mine off. And they'll both go together. Wonderful. Anyway, thanks for lending that and allowing me to show it on the show. It's really nice to see what other people do, especially right here in front of me. Anyway, it's Friday. It's the weekend. Happy weekend, everybody. Cheers. The second half has become synonymous with don't do it. Synonymous with having a grown-up juice. Happy grown-up juice, everybody. I don't normally drink beer out of a bottle on the show, do I? That's why. Don't do it, man. Come on, behave yourself. Can't drink like a grown-up though, can I? Right, behave. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put some rust effect on these. I don't know if this is a very realistic thing to do with tank tracks. Mostly they'd just be covered in like grime and dirt, mud and whatever that is that they've been driving over. In an attempt to try and keep this quite a quick paint job, I'm going to keep it quite simple. So I'm not going to put like masses and masses of time into like doing weathering effects. So it'd just be nice to have like it being a bit dusty, a bit grubby. Perhaps later on I'll do some like pigments and stuff on him. But if he's not covered in mud, you might see some rusty tank tracks, right? If they're painted, that paint would wear off very, very quickly. I should imagine driving around for a little while, and this works really well on my 135th build, my Panzer. So I'm just going to do it here because why not? I'm going to do the insides first because I think that would be easier to hide if there's a problem. And what I'm going to do for this, I'm going to use two effects, maybe just one. Excuse me, I've got AK Enamels Light Rust. This is a beautiful colour. And I've also got Rust Streaks. This is for doing like streaking grime, but it's a different colour for like, well, on the side here you can see. Really, really nice patination. This one is for doing like light spotting, but if I was to just basically do a sludge wash with this over these tracks, it's a really nice effect, a really nice colour, and it worked very well on highly detailed tracks for a larger scale. What I was thinking was to cover them completely in this, and if it's too much I could go over with this to try and tone it down a little bit, but I'm going to be bold and brave. I'm just going to go straight in with this one and see what it's like. So I've already given it a really big shake during that break, but it's got a sediment to it that is basically the pigment, and it will separate. So I'm just going to give it another shake now. It is enamel base, which means that it needs to be cleaned with thinners. And these enamel paints, while they do have an odour, they're not particularly strong. Just be prepared for it, the fact that they do have a smell to them. I'm going to use a different brush than what I normally use. Not those ones though. I will use this one. It might be a bit on the big side actually, it's quite a small set of tracks. Let me use this one. Yeah, why not? I've got like a whole bundle of brushes that I can use for things like this. Yeah, I've got loads of them. Yeah, I'm going to use that one instead. That's a nice one to use. Let's do that. Okay. Just a nice cheap Crawford & Black synthetic brush that I don't mind putting harsher chemicals into. I don't like putting these sorts of things and thinners or whatever into my Raphael Kalinsky sable brushes. Now, already, really nice effect. This is very similar to Dirty Down's Rust Effects, but the Dirty Down stuff I think is probably superior because it behaves in a certain way that is quite conducive to Rust Effects. This is just quite a runny paint and just runs into all the creases, etc, etc. I think that actually if you're looking for an effect paint where it does a lot of the work for you, choose Dirty Down, personally. However, I got this before Dirty Down started making products, so this is what I got. And it is quite easy to use. I'm just literally coating this whole thing in this colour. I'm looking at it going, that's a bit much actually for what I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it sit for a minute and I'm going to come in with some thinner or some spirit, like white spirit. I'll remove some of it or move it around so that it looks nicer. Now that is quite a nice colour. It's just a bit much, a bit stark. But I'm gonna carry on regardless. I don't want it to be too eye-popping. I don't want it to be the thing that everyone notices. Oh, look at the tracks on that. What's that tank? You know, that's that sort of thing. Now I know that actually the brightness of the paper actually affects what you can see here. I don't apologise for how bright everything is. Hopefully you can see it all okay. I've been thinking about getting some black paper with my logos on white, you know, printing black basically, so it doesn't affect everything. I'm also just going to get a new camera. I've been looking at one recently that is just dedicated, proper dedicated mirrorless DSLR camera. It's a lot of money. Haven't got one yet because of it. I wanted to just get better at streaming. That didn't happen. So yeah, that's where we are, man. I can see staff saying you should get a WAS. Incidentally, these paints, these enamel paints, were exactly the reason why I bought the WASmatic. Never used them on it. When I had the WASmatic, I think I probably only ever used enamels such a few amount of times, a brief amount. So yeah, never actually got to use the WASmatic before it died on the paints that I bought it for. I will get another WASmatic. Just, you know, there's a lot of things to buy, a lot of things to spend money on. And I have been thinking, you know, I did mention it a few weeks ago at the end of the show. I have been thinking about setting up a little Patreon or something like that, where people, if they feel that they want to, can, you know, buy me a coffee or, you know, a grown-up juice or whatever. And that money would go into a little pot where I would just buy resources, materials, you know, things for the show. I would definitely, absolutely not pocket that money in any way, shape or form. I don't know if it sits well with my ethic on this show and what it was for, but I've got a larger following than I ever thought that I would ever have. So, you know, carrying on the show, this might be the thing to do. So let me know what you think about having an Easy 8 Patreon. Is that an appropriate thing to do? I'd love to know your thoughts on it, because, you know, it would be my viewers, you guys, who would be doing that, donating money as and when you saw fit, totally at your, you know, at your beck and call. All those sorts of monies would go into, you know, Patreon fund or a business PayPal or something like that for Easy 8. It would mean that I'd have to register Easy 8 as a business. It would be a non-profit. As long as money earned in that way would be, in the UK, less than £1,000 a year, it's something that doesn't have to be declared. So, you know, that's all good and gravy, right? Which is, you know, absolutely, with my 185 subscribers, surely it would never get more than that. But it would mean that any money donated in such a way would go into buying things like, you know, mirrorless DSLR cameras, etc, etc. You know the score. going to just keep that there for a second. As it's drying, it is toning down a little bit. I'm not going to wash it off in the water, that would be a stupid thing to do. It needs to be in white spirit. Now, I was a dope some time ago. I accidentally put something into the white spirit, so now it's not actually clean white spirit anymore. So I just washed my brushes off in actually directly in this pot now. But that was a bit of a Wally move, wasn't it? Cool. Just clean that off. What I'll do now, rather than using dirty white spirit, I will use odorless thinner, which is, I still did it with this one, but it is cleaner. It's cleaner. Okay, it's a little bit of thinner on there, not too much. Just have a little bit off on the tissue. And what I'll do is I'll just see what it's like. This is the bit that goes underneath the wheels, so I'll just remove a little bit. That looks much better. That's cool. When I start to get a little bit of build up on my brush, I just wipe it off on a bit of tissue, so I'm not redepositing all of this moved orange to like one end where it just looks out of place. I'm also trying to stop it from sitting in these little injection port points here. This is actually the top side, so it won't matter so much, but underneath you can still see there's little circles there. Hopefully wheels will sit on top of those and it won't stand out so much. That's looking alright. Okay, happy with those. Oh, I'm having a bit of a hand-to-eye coordination moment there. Just can't control my fingers at all. Jeff says, anyone looking for anything in particular tomorrow at the show? I am looking for a book. As I said earlier on, going down to Exeter Legionary Show specifically to go and support Grant from Overlord Games on his first trailer event. I think it's a really big step for anybody venturing into business. I'm really proud of him for making that decision. It's been a decision that we've been talking about a lot. I've been supporting him. Just emotionally, just hey dude, this is going to be really cool. It's got a good move, and just bigging the dude up a little bit, and really proud of everything that he's done, making this decision. Big step, right? So I'll go down there to help him out, support him in any way that he needs on that day, and that first bit of support is going to be buying a copy of Achtung Panzer. It's just gonna be a nice day. I love going to Legionary. It's just nice to go down to the local shows and support locally, isn't it? I know that traders come from all over, but it's the actual show, it's the event. Okay, that's looking pretty cool. That's about what I was hoping it would look like. Awesome. Now, I need to do the other side. Now, these are a little bit harder to handle, so I'm going to be a bit more careful here. Going to have a sip of beer now that that's calmed down a little bit. I just can't do it, can I? Stop it. Thank you. I'll just smash it into my light. Why not? Oh, I'm so sorry. Kez says, paints myself and maybe something Bautech. Yeah, I like that. That'd be cool. Steph says, and the breakfast is awesome. Do you know what? I do agree with that. Colin Farrant from Charlie Foxtrot Models has said in the past that it's got the best breakfast on the circuit. He's not lying. There's a little cafe, it's an old cattle market, and inside there's a little cafe on the side. Makes amazing breakfasts. Go there. Get those breakfasts. Oh, I dipped that in too far, didn't I? Now on this side, more detail, because the treads are on the outside, so it will have hopefully a better effect. That will look nicer, more interesting. Now, as you may have noticed when I turned this one over a minute ago, that everything I was doing on the other side had run through onto the, onto this side. And that will probably happen here as well. So a part of this process is going to be just checking it over and making sure that both sides are okay before I glue it all together. And I'm going to come back to the bit. I don't want it all over my hands. It's a bit of a smelly, yucky stuff. There you go. You can see it's all crept over onto this side here. So I just want to be careful with that. One of the things that I am really disappointed with on the show is the quality of the lighting. And when I get this new camera, and I will very, very soon actually, is I hope that once I've got that all set up and I know what it is I'm doing with it, hopefully it will balance out a lot of these lighting issues. It might be that the lighting beside me is too much and I can't really see it very well on the screen. It could be my screen, I don't know. Let me know right now, is the screen, because of the paper here being bright and dark with all my light on it, is it too hard to see anything on there? Can you see what's going on? Or do you need better quality attention? Stay still, please. Oh, okay, you can go over there. That's fine. If you do want to play, that's okay with me. Go over there. Look at that paint all up the ferrule. What a noob. Did you see the way that one wipe did that all in one go? Kes says, looks okay to me. Excellent. It must just be a combination of my screen, my local lighting, maybe my own personal settings. I'm glad to know that it works all right for you. I just did a burp then. Did you? I'm so sorry. Did you hear that? I'm so sorry. What was I saying at the beginning? Like, I want to make it more professional. So sorry. It's a gassy beer, man. We all know what brand it is I'm drinking. Come on. All those years ago, when Easy 8 first started its humble beginnings, I had my co-host Kyle. And Kyle was dead against any kind of accidental advertising on the show. So if I had like a chocolate bar or anything like that, he's like, dude, you can't show the label, I'm like, I think I can show normal living. Like if I was doing a live stream walking down the street, am I allowed to show shop signs? So yeah, like I do try to keep my labels outside of it, but am I allowed to show paint brands? What's the standards here? Like, I want to make sure that I'm following the rules and laws and stuff like that, but are we allowed to talk about the beer that I'm drinking? It's not an advert. I'm not sponsored by anybody. P.S. If you'd like to sponsor Easy 8, get in contact and let's talk about how we do that. I don't want to damage the quality of the show and the reputation that it's got, but, let's talk about that. That popular Mexican beer that we all know. Don't. Come on. Thank you. Thanks, Stafford. I'm eating Mars bars. I love it. There might be some rules and I don't care. That's Suppose we'll find out the hard way, huh? Could you just play the game, mate? That'd be great. If you could just stand up the way that I've asked you to stand up, that'd be wonderful. Thanks. I know that this probably looks like I've spent just as much time doing this bit as it did the faffy grey tyres, but there's no skill involved in this at all. It's just slap it on, and it just takes a little bit of time to make sure that everything is covered properly, you know, and looks appropriate, looks right. It's just fun. Got it on my fingers. Okay, cool. We're doing all right here. Let me get my white spirit. There it is. Try to knock anything over. For your information, Witchwood Brewery. It's a lovely beer. I drink Hobgoblin Gold. That's normally the one I'm drinking. And I am drinking it. And because I'm not drinking now, I think I can say it. And Kyle can't get angry at me for it. Sorry, Kyle. I love you, man. Right, literally going to wait for these to dry, but I don't need to wait for that much, for that long, because I've got a Dry-O-Matic here. So I'm going to give that a bit of a go, actually, see what it's like. I'm going to cover up this paint in case I end up blowing it over. I'm going to cover up this here in case I end up blowing that over and make out of a mess. Here we go. I'm not going to do it on the table because it's just going to blow everything all over the place. I don't want that. So I'm just going to lean back a bit. I'm going to knock the microphone off so you can't hear it because I don't want you to be drowned out. But I'm just going to hit these with a little bit of a dryer. Well, that went well. Thanks for the Dry-O-Matic. Love it. I've got a very warm lap now. So that was just to agitate it enough so that I could do the effect on the outside with the thinner. So they're going to get wet again now, but I just kind of wanted to dry them down a little bit, so handling them is just that much nicer, you know. I don't think I'm necessarily going to need to do much with the rust streaks. I just had that on standby in case I needed to tone down this orange. I think this is probably going to be quite appropriate. We'll see what happens. So from here, all I'm going to do is just slap that on. I'm just hoping that we get some nice and interesting artifacting from the way that that paint runs in around the details on the outside of the track. And I'm being really lazy with it. I'm just hoping that something fun happens, basically. Again, keeping my tissue nearby so that I can remove a certain quantity of this paint and basically get rid of it. There we are. I'm not going to worry too much about it being, you know, spot on all over. That's the top bit, which is going to be hidden under most of the side part of the hull anyway. And then this bit here is looking pretty good without too much effort, so just see what happens. Oops. Still. Behave. Stay there. Thank you. This is working out rather well. What does everybody else think so far? What do you think about this colour, this effect? It is darn tooting a cheat on my behalf from someone who doesn't really know what he's doing when it comes to painting tracks. Everyone's got their own recipe, and this is a brief way of the way that I do mine. I don't do this on my 15mm tanks. Less is more. I just paint them the original brown that you saw on here, which is charred brown by Vallejo. It's my go-to brown. And I dry brush them, and I might stain them if there's not enough contrast in them to kind of show the details on them. I would stain them with a very dark brown or a black, or, you know, when I say dark brown I mean like Agrax Earthshade or something like that. It's quite a dark and contrasting brown. I'm not a fan of always using a black stain. It can be too much contrast. When you're trying to get contrast, be aware of getting too much. It can look like it's come out of a comic book, and that might be a desired effect, but it's not for me today. Or anytime I'm painting my tanks. It might be a great thing to do if you're trying to paint Tank Girl's tank, you know? But I'm not. So yeah, there we go. Cool. I think I'm done, actually. That's really quite chuffed with that. It just needs to dry, and then once it has dried, it will all go onto the bogey systems. I say that it's all done. That's a lie. This is what I was talking about earlier on. Best laid plans. I'll just forget something. Actually, what it needs is a dry brushing of silver, because you know, if they're all rusty and dirty, just as part of the operating of the tank, all the teeth on the inside of the tracks, which you can't see there at the moment, they will be worn down to bare metal, as will the outside surfaces where the patterns are will be worn down metal if they're just driving on cobblestones and things like that. If they're out driving around in the mud, you won't see it, they'll be corroded. If they're driving on cobbles or tarmac or whatever it might be, then you will see it, and I want that just to kind of be something nice-ish to see. Staff says, I really hate painting. Well, thanks for coming along and joining in a painting show anyway. Love that. What is it about painting that you don't like? Maybe myself and the community here at large can help you work out what it is that you don't like and improve it for you. I think that if you just focus on, rather than having like an army, this is my problem. When you've got armies to paint, there's a pressure on you to get it done, and that's what they mean by tabletop standard, isn't it? Is making it look decent enough that you can play a game and be happy with it. But when you get that one prize model that you want to do something with, spend the time on it to the exemption of everything else, and just put your heart and soul into it, and then do another one like that, and then you'll improve and improve and improve. And it takes time and it takes practice, but you should always enjoy that process. I think. If you're just trying to get things painted, just so that they look at it on the table, that is a reason to get things painted, and that is absolutely fine. Of course it is. But if you want to enjoy it, then I think you just need to switch your mindset a little bit as to what the actual output is that you're trying to do. Does that make sense? Was that too prophetic? I don't know. It depends on what you're painting and why you're painting it. Really does as to what's going to come out at the other end. Is it going to be something that you really enjoy, or is it a bit of a chore? That's the reason the show's been made, right? It's just to keep you company while you do it. You're saying tracks, wheels, camo, the list goes on. Yeah, fair. Camo, I really struggle with camo. I really struggle with it. Can't help it. It's just something I struggle with. Anyway, these are nearly dry. I'm going to maybe do a little bit of a wash over the top of them. I think they're a little bit on the bright side, aren't they? Do we think? If I got this brush and got some spirit or thinner on there, that would be quite a nice scrubbing brush, just to clean them up a little bit. Don't want them too bright. I over-sludged at the beginning, trying to get it done nice and quick, and that's not going to be too traumatic to do it. Just want to make sure that I get the right balance in there. You know, I can always stain back over the top with other colours, even agrax. You know, that would be fine. Black would be too much. It's a very bright orange, and if I went in with the darkest colour I could hit it with, it would be too much contrast. That's exactly what I was talking about a minute ago. And I don't want that. Stay still. Come on, go over there. Perhaps I will give a little bit of the other rust colour a bit of a wash over, just to see what happens. I don't know. Tune into Discord after the show and see what happens. But these tracks will be finished tonight, and I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah, we're just a bit bright there, aren't we? I've gone a bit too far now. It's alright, that's on the top where you won't see it too much. That's fine, that's okay. But that is better. Cool. Jeff says, that's what dusty brown dry brushing is for. Tones everything down and blends it in all together. Do you know what? That's not a bad idea. A little bit of a dry brush before I go in with the silver. With a brown might be the answer. It's a lovely colour. It's just because it's such a smaller scale than 1/35 where this really works. It's just too much. Just too much for it. Less is more with the smaller scales. Not a lesser scale at all. Love a small scale. 15mm is great. I love 15mm games. So I've been thinking about playing Achtung Panzer. I was talking to a friend who's recently joined my geek squad in my games once a week, and I was talking about Achtung Panzer, and he was like, "Oh, are you going to get it?" I was like, "Yes," but the problem I've got with it, while I love 28mm as a scale, and I think that the tanks that Warlord and Rubicon make are beautiful and wonderful tank models. it's not just that you've got to buy to play the games, you've got to get all the scenery and terrain. I've already got stuff for 40k and Gaslands and loads of other things, and I've got loads of World War II terrain and scenics for 15 mil. It starts to add up. It's too much stuff to have in my life. So I was thinking about seeing if I can play the game with my 15 mil models, because the only thing that really changed is the distances. Some games in the past have, I always remember playing Inquisitor, the Games Workshop game that went up to 54mm. Unfortunately, it was a bit of a failed start. It didn't really get the love, the longevity that game deserved, but it was fun to play, and I just played it with normal size miniatures, and I changed everything from inches to centimetres, and it worked fine. So I wonder if Acton Panzer will do the same. I wonder if it even has a scale leap in there. Some games like Gaslands, for example, have at the back of the book photocopy scaling percentages, so that you can print all the templates to play in various different scales, whether you want to go up or down. If you want to play with micro machines or even like large car models, you can. That's brilliant. That's really attentive to the people that are going to be buying your game. I just wonder if they got that in Acton Panzer. If not, I wonder if it's a quick fix, that just by changing it from inches to centimeters, or does it just work? Because I play What a Tanker, and all the measurements in that are done by inches. Does it just work in that scale? I hope so. I'm going to go pick up the book anyway, so that's what I'm going to be doing this weekend, is getting that book and having a good old look through it all. Anyway, we're getting very close to the end of the show. My menus are all over the place today. Don't know what's going on. There's some problems going on here. Don't like it. Sort it out. Thank you very much. Yum, I cannot drink this beer out of a bottle, can I? Stop it now, please. So I'm going to put that away so that my brightness levels will change on the screen. What have I done today? Not a lot by the looks of it, but I've painted all my tyres, which I'm really happy with, on both sides. Yeah, I've painted all my tracks. I'm just going to wait for these to dry, and I'm going to hit them with a little bit of brown dry brushing. I think that'll be a really good idea. I'm going to use the same brown that I use for everything, tone it down a little bit, and then I'm going to go in with a little bit of silver. On larger builds, I have actually gone through and individually painted every single tooth on the inside of the tracks. These are just small. There's no need to do that. It would just be like a little bit of attention with a dry brush. Sort that out. I would like to, by the end of the night, have these tracks glued onto the respective bogey sets, and it will be even cooler if I can get those glued onto the actual hull itself. It has felt like a little bit of a backward step, taking these tracks apart, but it has literally saved me hours of work. So yeah, the next thing that's going to happen after that is I'm going to do a wash all over it, so just basically a panel line washing. That is going to be done with this dark brown, which is used for green vehicles. I've used this before. It is much easier than the one for German yellow. That is a really tricky colour. It never works well for me, and it's an operator issue. It's not a product issue at all, as far as I can tell. I'm just not very good. But this is much easier to work with. You get much better results with it straight away. And yeah, hopefully what it will do is it will just take all those little details on there and just make them really pop. Those details could be any of these tools and fuel ports or whatever, right down to the rivets or bolts on the front of the glasses here, because this here is the gearbox and transmission. This would unbolt and come away, and they will be able to access the gearbox and transmission through there. So they've got all these huge bolts along the front, and it would just pick all those details out, and it would just make it really, really pop. I am really, really pleased with, proud actually, of the rendering job that I've done on there. Looking at it here, you can see that it is shadowed towards the back and highlighted at the front. And if I hold it like this, it looks like it could be, because of the direction of the light coming from this light up here, coming down and casting a bit of a shadow at the back. But if I hold up here, the optical illusion is spoiled, and you can see that it's actually my epic paints job, and I'm really happy with that. Underneath you can see that it's actually a lot darker than it is on the top, and that will hopefully help make it look all nicer and more special. And the side bits go on, also the same from this angle, lighter from underneath, darker. That's cool, love that. I put a lot of effort into it where it didn't necessarily need it. Less is more with the with this scale, but I think it will look nice. Cool, huh? The only thing I've really got to be a little bit careful about is that on the sprockets, they got, rather than actually linking the tracks into the sprockets themselves, they've actually moulded it so the edges of the tracks are actually a part of the wheel on the front here. If I can bring it up and show you. Is it going to come into focus? Yes, it will. Come on, you're going to do it. There you go. You can see just on the top side there, those little black lines are actually dark brown. Those are the edges of the tracks that are moulded as a part of the model there, so it's easier to make. So I need to make sure that they've got the same amount of orange and weathering on them as the rest of the tracks do. Otherwise, they're going to stand out like a sore thumb, right? Staffer says, Jeff, Dusty Brown, I have Agrax Unknown, which would you recommend? So, Nuln Oil is a black shade, black wash by Games Workshop, Citadel. And then there's Agrax Earthshade here, which is a really, really dark one. He was talking about Dusty Brown dry brushing. So not dry brushing with these, because that's just going to be, basically, it's just water with a colour in it. He's talking about getting a dark brown colour, or, you know, a dusty brown. So what I'm going to use is charred brown. That's a brush paint. I've got it in airbrush as well. What you could do is earth colour. That might be a bit too bright. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rely on the the charred brown colour. I'm going to rely on that colour, which is the base of these, just to kind of bring it back a little bit to its original colour, just to stop that orange from popping just so much. But I'm not unhappy with it. I think that does look really nice. I just don't want it to be so strong, because you can see how bright it is compared to the rest of the hull. I just want it to be a little softer. But I like how it's sat there. Anyway, saying thank you to you both. Yeah, oh, because Jeff's already said something. I don't know what those are. I use house paint. Ask Dan. Yeah, there you go. Question answered. Cool. We are a few minutes from finishing at the end. What I might do now is just blast these with a hairdryer quickly, just while we've got a few seconds left of the show. So I'm just going to hit the microphone again. Bear with. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to twist this bit like that. It's easier to... Yeah, cool. Anyway, back in a second. I'm loving this new Dry-O-Matic, mate. Thank you so much. What a wonderful gift it is. It's dried them much less... You know the word I'm looking for. There's a little bit of thinner that's still on them that just needs to kind of dry a little bit, but that'll be fine. I think it will dry quite happily, just sat there. What I'm going to do now, while I've still got a little bit of time, is get some of this charred brown here. Let's stick it in the palette, and I'm going to just give it a quick go now. Actually, very little left in that pot, so I have to store it upside down. Get rid of these brushes so they're not beside all my nice ones. I think That there could be a nice brush. Got a nice amount of rigidity. I don't have proper dry brushes. That's fine. A little bit of water. Just a tiny bit of moisture in your bristles really does help the transfer of heat. It's also really getting a chalky build-up. I don't have a texture palette. I'd love to have one. I don't have one. I'm just going to use my palette over here. It'd be really nice if I didn't get rid of all the texture on it a few months ago, right? There, guys. Okay. I'm going to do this on the top side because it'll be easier to hide if it all goes wrong. Oh yeah, that's actually quite a bit nicer. That is toning it right down. Thanks, Dad. Yeah. Compare that to that. Subtle, but has made all the difference in terms of what I had in my mind's expectations. Perfect. Get quite a bit of build up in the treads on the sort of outside curves, because obviously when it's drying it sits like this and gravity will pull it down, so that's something I'm a bit conscious about. Not going to be too precious about it though. Now, of course, I could have done all this with an acrylic orange. I chose not to. I've got the products that I have, and I like to use them. Simple as that, really. No other rhyme or reason to it. I bought these a little while ago, some years ago. Impulse buys in some respect. I like them. Yeah, there's a little bit of moisture in there from the thinner, so I'm just gonna, I don't want to add that to the stuff that I've got already in the brush. Just let that dry a second, come back to it in a minute. And I can see that it's actually getting the actual tread parts, the actual sort of embossed patterns, the relief, that's it, yeah. Picking up those bits quite well, so I know that when I come through and I'm a little bit more careful, less heavy-handed, with the silver, I know that it's going to look halfway decent. So, yay. And then just back to this bit here. Just going to get a tissue and then just dry that bit up manually. Thanks. There we go, just toning down those outside bits as well there. Just brings a little bit of definition back to the details. Really happy with that. That's fabulous. Yeah. Nice when it works out, isn't it? Light brown tanks in the summer were covered in with dry brush silver. That's going to be exciting. Let's come away from here. There's a silly place. It's not a silly place. It's a great place. Might buy dice tomorrow, says Jeff. Yeah, everyone wants dice, don't they? I mean, I wouldn't mind some more dice for What a Tanker, because they've got all the nation symbols on them when you buy them from Flames of War. Flames of War is another 50mm World War II game that I'd love to get into. Got the rulebook. Grant gave me one from Overlord Games. Would love to get into it. It's just been the time recently. I know I've been on holiday, but I've deliberately not done anything, and I'm allowed to. It's been really busy at work, and I'm just stressed, alright? Just leave me alone. Don't froth up, come on. Thanks. So yeah, I mean, it feels like a small amount of work, but actually that was going to take a long time if I hadn't kind of taken those tracks apart and done it this way. So it saved me a lot of time. I know that when I get those back on there, I'm over halfway through it, and in terms of the amount of work that's going to be done, but the actual time it should take to do the next bits shouldn't be all that long. I need to get this delivered by the 20th of May, so I have 10 days. 10 days is a long old time, as long as I pull my finger out. What I have managed to do is locate the ammo box on the 50 cal on top of the turret, so the whole model is now complete. It just needs to be assembled with all its sub-assemblies, and then just the last few bits and pieces done to it, and it's going to look smashing. It's not the first Sherman that I've painted. I have painted an M4 before. Jeff, my dad, has it, and he uses it as a model when he's as like a model, not as a miniature model, for advertising all of his builds that he does for customers, etc. And can show the scales of a Tiger, which I also painted, and a Sherman, which is nice. So it isn't my first rodeo with this tank. It's just a really nice colour, is the green. I love it. It's a wonderful one. Anyway, I hope you've had an enjoyable evening. I hope you've got lots of your painting done. If not, why not? Nah, just kidding. Just keep on going, man. Just keep on painting. If you've got as much stuff as I have everywhere here, yeah, there's always more to do, isn't there? So keep on painting, guys. I hate saying guys on my show. It feels like everybody says guys on YouTube. Let me know what you think of my painting. Let me know what you think of this show. Let me know what you think about the concept or the idea of having a Patreon for the show to help put more things into it to make it better, more professional, so that you get more out of it from the quality that would go into it. I promise, I hereby on the internet say that I will never pocket money for myself. It will always, every penny will always go into the show. If I end up starting to build up some money for it, I will put it into a dedicated bank account for use specifically on the show. I will not benefit from it personally in any way, shape or form, but maybe that's not the way that the show should go. Let me know what you think, because I'm genuinely interested. If you say no, then that's cool. I appreciate and respect that. If you say yes, cool, let's do something like that. I make the show for you guys. Let me know how you'd like it to be improved and what direction I should go with it. Anyway, that's pretty much it for this week. I'm going to be on Discord for about an hour, maybe 2 at the max, because I've got a slightly early start. Last night my boy cat had me waiting up until 3 o'clock in the morning, because we don't like leaving the window open, but we don't have a cat flap, so I've got to shut the window, so I had to stay up. So I'm really tired, actually, and I need to get up nice and early so that I can meet everybody on time and not be the reason that everyone's late. Even though everyone says I'm always late, I haven't been the late one for a long time, so to you guys. Yeah, everyone's going to be really early now, so that while I might not be late, I'll certainly be the last one arriving. I know how this is going to work. Really excited to go to Legionary tomorrow, so if you are interested in coming and joining the EZ8 crew, excuse me, that's the B, I'm so sorry. Please come and join us. I'd love to meet new people and the same people, so just come along. It'll be great fun. Anyway, until next time, my name's Danny. Please subscribe. Until next week, stay safe, be kind, and keep on painting. And I'll see you soon. Take care now. Bye-bye. At least I've got the right buttons this time. Yeah, I'm a pro. I'm absolutely not a pro, I'm so sorry.